Wait, hold on. Pause. Rewind. Are we really doing this, Warriors Nation? Are we seriously, genuinely entertaining the idea of trading for Lonzo Ball, a player who hasn't stepped on an NBA court in over 2 years? A player whose knee has been so catastrophically damaged that he's undergone multiple surgeries, including a cartilage transplant, one of the most severe and uncertain procedures in all of sports medicine? We're going to gamble Jonathan Kuminga, a young, healthy, high-upside talent, on a player whose body is held together by duct tape and prayers? This isn't just a risky move. This isn't a calculated gamble. This is absolute, certified insanity, a franchise-crippling disaster waiting to happen, and I cannot believe we're even having this conversation. If the Golden State Warriors actually pull the trigger on this trade, it will go down as one of the most catastrophic decisions in recent franchise history. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being realistic. And someone needs to say it before it's too late. Let's start with the cold, hard facts that everyone seems conveniently eager to ignore. Lonzo Ball has not played meaningful NBA basketball since January 2022. That's over 2.5 years ago. He's been sidelined with a meniscus injury that required not one, not two, but multiple surgeries, including an experimental cartilage transplant procedure that has an incredibly uncertain success rate, especially for professional athletes. We're not talking about a sprained ankle or a minor knee tweak. We're talking about structural damage to his knee that has required cutting-edge, experimental medical intervention. The odds of him returning to anything resembling his pre-injury form are astronomically low. And what was his pre-injury form? Exactly. Let's be honest about what Lonzo Ball actually was before he got hurt. He was a solid role player, a good passer with decent defensive instincts, but a player with glaring, fundamental weaknesses. He was never a reliable scorer. His shooting, particularly from three-point range, was wildly inconsistent. He couldn't create his own shot. He struggled at the free throw line. He was a facilitator in a league increasingly dominated by players who can both facilitate and score at elite levels. He was a useful player on a good team, but he was never a star, never a game changer, never the kind of player you build around or sacrifice significant assets to acquire. Now, imagine that version of Lonzo Ball, the one with all those offensive limitations, but after 2.5 years away from competitive basketball, after multiple knee surgeries, after experimental procedures, after all that accumulated rust and lost development time. What do you think we're getting? Do we honestly believe he's going to step onto the court and magically become the missing piece? The player who elevates our offense and solidifies our championship aspirations? That's not hope, that's delusion. The idea that Lonzo Ball, in his current state, could divide playmaking responsibilities with Curry and allow Steph to move more freely off the ball is a fantasy. Curry already has that freedom. We have other players who can handle the ball. What we don't have is consistent, high-volume three-point shooting and reliable scoring from our role players. Lonzo Ball, even at his absolute best, does not address those needs. And at his worst, which is what we're far more likely to get given his injury history, he's a liability, a player who clogs spacing, can't punish defenses, and provides minimal offensive value. The supposed experts and analysts who are championing this move are pointed ball's basketball IQ, his court vision, his defensive versatility. Those are nice qualities. But you know what's even nicer? A healthy body. The ability to actually play basketball. And that's the giant, glaring question mark that nobody seems willing to address directly. What are realistic odds that Lonzo Ball stays healthy for a full season, let alone a deep playoff run? History is not on our side here. Players who undergo multiple knee surgeries, especially procedures as invasive and experimental as a cartilage transplant, rarely return to their previous level of athleticism and durability. We've seen it time and time again. The NBA is littered with the careers of players whose bodies broke down, who spent more time in the training room than on the court, who became expensive roster albatrosses. And now we're supposed to believe that Lonzo Ball, at 27 years old with a surgically reconstructed knee, is going to be the exception? That's not analysis. That's wishful thinking. And here's the part that makes me want to tear my hair out. The reported cost. According to sources, this trade would involve Jonathan Kuminga, potentially along with other young players and draft assets. We'd be trading away a 22-year-old wing with explosive athleticism, legitimate defensive potential, and a rapidly developing offensive game for a broken-down point guard who hasn't played in over 2 years. Are we out of our minds? Kuminga has his flaws. His consistency is still a work in progress. His decision-making can be questionable. But he's young, he's healthy, and he has genuine, tangible upside. He's the kind of player who could develop into a legitimate two-way force, a cornerstone piece for the next era of Warriors basketball. Trading him for Lonzo Ball would be a catastrophic miscalculation, a move driven by desperation rather than strategic thinking. Some will argue that this is a buy low opportunity, that we're acquiring a talented player at a discount because of his injury history. But there's a reason his value is low, because the risk is enormous. This isn't buying low on a player who's underperforming. This is buying low on a player whose career might already be effectively over. The downside is devastating, and the upside is marginal at best. The quote from the supposed former player and ESPN commentator, that Lonzo changes a culture and thinks collectively, is a kind of meaningless platitude that gets thrown around to justify bad decisions. Culture doesn't win championships. Talent, health, and execution win championships. And Lonzo Ball, in his current state, does not provide enough of any of those things to justify the cost. If the Warriors front office knows the roster needs adjustments, and it does, then they should be pursuing realistic, healthy, proven players who can contribute immediately. Trey Murphy III, Derek White, other players who are actually playing basketball right now, who have demonstrated their value, who don't come with a 2-year injury hiatus and a surgically reconstructed knee. Lonzo Ball is not the answer. He's a gamble with terrible odds, a move that prioritizes sentiment and hope over cold, hard analysis. The narrative that Ball could be the new maestro in San Francisco is a romantic fantasy. The reality is that he's far more likely to be an expensive, injury-prone disappointment who spends more time rehabbing than contributing, all while we've sacrificed a young, promising player to acquire him. In summary, trading for Lonzo Ball will be an absolute disaster, a franchise-altering mistake driven by desperation and misguided optimism. The injury risk is unacceptable. The offensive limitations are glaring. The cost is far too high. And the likelihood of this actually working out is virtually zero. This is not a smart, strategic move. This is a Hail Mary pass with a blindfold on. And if we go through with it, we will regret it for years to come. So, Warriors Nation, I'm asking you directly, are we really willing to bet our future on Lonzo Ball's surgically reconstructed knee? Are we ready to trade Jonathan Kuminga for a player who might never be the same again? Because that's the reality of the situation, and we need to face it head-on before it's too late. What do you think, Warriors Nation? Am I being too harsh, or is this the brutal reality check we need about Lonzo Ball? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. If you agree that this would be a catastrophic mistake, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more no-nonsense, real talk analysis of your Golden State Warriors. Let's keep it real and avoid this disaster.